Welcome back, folks, to Cape Breton Diver. My name is Mark Buthoff from Nervous Wreck Dive Club.
Ken Jardine, instructor at Scuba Tech in Sydney, Cape Breton.
And as we were telling you last week, we've made a few changes thanks to the technical department.
The vast technical department here at Seaside Cable. They
quoted
all the stops and all the budget and everything, and they made us a new graphic here with the little Cape Breton Island in the background, a new name, Cape Breton Diver, shortened it up a bit, and a little water thing. Very, very nice.
Yeah, and the scallop shells aren't part of the new intro.
Actually, the guy said he saw our scallop shell. One of the guys, Pure Later, works for Pure Later, delivering stuff at the shop the other day, and he said he wanted my scallop recipe.
Tell us what we're going to be doing today, Ken.
Today, we are doing Tech Talk. You're going to be doing a Tech Talk on kit bags, the big diver bags we put all of our equipment in. There's one right behind your seat there. Also, the dive itself is at a place called Money Point, which is halfway around the Cabot Trail in the Dingwall area. It was a boat dive. I had a bunch of people from Ottawa on a charter, and Greg Lettuce was with me. He's from Sydney Mines, a new diver last year.
I've dove with Greg.
Yeah, Greg's a good diver, and for a young fellow. And we did a dive there at Money Point. And instructor tips, I'm going to be doing some more advanced stuff. We did the bailouts, which we'll get a little more into the instructor tips later. But for now, we're going to cut away, I think, Marky, to your tech talk that you did on kit bags out on the Wharf and Gabroos.
Yeah, back at the Wharf and Gabroos.
And we'll see you in a few seconds.
Okay. Hi, welcome back to Tech Talk. Today what we'd like to show you is different types of kit bags you can carry your gear in. As you know, your scuba gear is fairly expensive, and you want to make sure that it's well protected. It doesn't get banged around a lot. As you can see here in front of me, there's different types of kit bags. David here is using, I guess it's a hockey bag, which is great and dandy. Your gear will all fit in there, you know, but you want to get a bag that's probably a little bit better, a little bit stronger handles, straps, a little more pockets, and try to separate some of your gear. For example, this is my bag right here. As you can see, I have shoulder straps because not all dive sites are accessible as what this site is. You may have to lump your gear around a bit, and having shoulder straps and using a backpack method makes it a lot easier. I have an exterior pouch where my regulators go in. I have a side pouch where all my toys, knife, flashlights, game bags, everything fits in. It also has a nice large opening, so I'm not struggling to try to get to my gear. Okay. Here's a third type. This one here belongs to Ken. This is, I guess, a super duper deluxe model. It's actually a nicer bag than the one I have. It's nice and strong, it's very heavy, and it has more side pouches and back pouches than you can shake a stick at. And as you can see, everything has its place. When you pack your bag, you can put everything in. And you know, if you keep putting in the same spots all the time, you know you'll always have your gear with you. And we'll be talking about checklists for materials. It has a nice side carrying handles, and this one also has a backpack feature. Okay. It also has a top carrying handle. This is really, really great. The material is much thicker than mine, and it protects your gear that much better. Also, probably wondering what this bag is. This time of year, we scuba dive still, but we do it with dry suits. And this here is a nice little kit bag. It's waterproof and holds your dry suit. What's nice about this is, even though your dry suit is soaking wet, you can put it in this bag and toss it in the backseat of your car when you're all done diving. Okay, so until next week, play it safe, have fun, we'll see you underwater.
And we will, so there.
I think I had a little bit of the
cold. That was
cold. That wasn't me forgetting my lines. That was freezing.
What's with the hat and that sort of crocodile marquee, isn't it?
No, I was in disguise in case anybody recognizes me here.
I had a guy, we had a guy come in the shop, and they talk about how honest people are. He bought a kit bag off me. The guy was heading away on some kind of it wasn't a ministry or anything, it was some kind of an outreach something or other. He was going to a jungle in the Amazon somewhere, and he bought the bag. I didn't realize
he didn't ask me to go with him?
Well, there was $200 masks in the bag. He left, he came back later that afternoon with the masks. We never would have known they were there.
That's right.
Yeah, so people are Cape Bretoners.
Great.
Good, honest Cape Bretoners.
Great.
Anyway, we're going to head off to Money Point. First thing we're going to do, I think, is go to the map and show you where it is. We have time for that, or can we do that later? Okay, we're going to go to the map. And you say yes, and you see the two little ball hats here in the studio jumping up and down. Here we are. Again, starting out in Sydney. A lot of times for heading down in the northern end of Cape Breton, we'll meet at out in Bredor, out by the wreckage and the Tim Hortons out there. But starting from Sydney, if that's where you're coming from, you take the 125 over to the 105, which is the Trans-Canada. Go across Seal Island Bridge again, over Kelly's Mountain. Watch out for the right turn here. You're around there, down into Englishtown, across the ferry. Again, this is an absolutely beautiful drive, going up along the north shore here, up past Wreck Cove and up to Cape Smoky. You go over Cape Smoky through Ingonish. Now you're, again, still just absolutely gorgeous up along here. Green Point and Green Cove, where we've done a couple of shows. Up past Neils Harbor, we have an upcoming show on Neils Harbor, actually. All the way into Cape North. You'll hit the Esso there again. You can wave to Scott as you're taking the right turn there, and head down into Dingwall. We went into Dingwall, and we met up with Eddie Fraser, and his boat is right inside the harbor at Dingwall here. He's a lobster fisherman and a diver. He also has a mussel farm. It's about a 10-mile ride from Cape North all the way up here to Money Point, which is right there on the end of Cape Breton. All right, and you can actually see Money Point from up off, if you're in your boat out off of Glace Bay somewhere, you can see it quite far away. But let's see. See, I'm not going to trip this time.
Oh, you're learning. You're learning.
No problem. We can do this. But, it's about a 110-mile drive from Sydney to get there. And we piled on the boat. We had a bunch of people from Ottawa. I think we're ready to cut away to that now.
Yeah, we might as well roll.
We'll roll the tape and show you the dive. It's a wreck. Hi, just leaving Dingwall, the harbor in Dingwall, I guess to say. Aboard Eddie Fraser's boat, nice big 36-foot Cape Islander fishing boat. And you can see in the background, it's called Money Point, part of the Cape Breton Islands. There's a shipwreck off the end of it, which we're going to dive on today. We've got the Ottawa Beavers Scuba Club, second best club in Cape Breton. Service recipe is the best. They're here now, it's going to be nice. We're also hoping to get in with some whales. Last year I did a course here, and we did our checkout dive out on Money Point, and we got in and we actually snorkeled with whales. I got my camera in the housing, and if we see some whales, we'll come up alongside, hold up, hopefully they'll swim over and let us have a look at them in the water. Otherwise, the wreck is the place to be. Stand by, enjoy the show, and that's it. I ran out of words. Modified stride entry. Eastland.
Oh, you know, anyway.
Okay. Here we are. There we go.
Yeah, that was the...
Welcome back. Now we're in the water.
You see my little surface ballet as I stepped off the end of the boat there?
What do you call that entry?
That's modified giant stride. That's equipment overload, cameras and people and tons of stuff. You can see when you're watching this footage, folks, keep in mind, you may have noticed the background there showing the shore along the end of Money Point. That is probably one of the roughest, most rugged, weather-washed areas in Cape Breton, if not in the world. And the day we were there were plunging breakers about 6, 8 feet high. Now, Greg and I swam into about 15 feet of water, which is quite shallow, and we were getting tossed around pretty good. It's not a big deal if you know how to deal with it.
You can tell by the action of the kelp there.
Yeah, so if it looks a little bit jittery, like the shakes or something like that, it's not the night before. It's not the night before, no. I don't think that. They get us the shakes. But that's not what this is.
How many divers did you have in the water here?
Well, no, that's a big piece of deck plate.
Oh, okay.
Actually, we had 8 from Ottawa, and Greg and myself, and then Eddie did the dive also. So there were 11 altogether.
Great.
So over the course of the day. And they just had a beautiful drive down to Dingwall. They just loved it. We get out there. On the way out, there were whales on the surface. We didn't get any of the whale footage, though, did we, Lawrence? No? You could hear the whales in the water. You could hear them singing.
Is that right?
Incredible.
Excellent.
Just incredible. Yeah, but this ship was tremendous. The first time I ever dove on it, I dove with one of the older divers in Cape Breton. One of the people that's been diving the longest. You're probably the oldest diver in Cape Breton, but this guy he's been diving for a long time. Kenneth McKinnon.
We do that to the third try.
Okay, 3 strikes him out. Dove with Kenneth and his daughter Marianne, who took the course, no E on the end of the Ann part. She's in the Nervous Wrecks Club. Shane and Derek Rion. We dove on this wreck the first time. It was just fantastic. You can swim hugging the coastline in one direction. If you start at one end of it, you can swim for a good 40 minutes straight, and you're on wreckage the whole time.
What's the history behind this wreck?
The ship went down. It was a motorized ship. It wasn't a sailing ship or anything like that. It was. I don't even have the name of it. Kenneth was supposed to look it up for me. But it was supposedly carrying peas. Okay, it was a big cargo ship, probably from the size of the wreckage and everything else. It was probably over 400 feet long. There is a piece of bow section on the beach itself that's as big as the Scuba Tech building. It's a 2-story building. There was a piece of bow section, just the very nose of that ship, as big as a 2-story house. Went down somewhere around 60, 70 years ago. This ship. That's what I know. I could be off. I'm probably off on something like that too. But there's an awful pile of wreckage along here. But I've never found any of what you like to see, like the prop or the shaft and stuff like that. Haven't found any of that. But there's a ton of wreckage there.
And I would imagine there's more than just one wreck in around that area.
Oh God, yeah.
Wrecks on top of wrecks.
Yeah. The other thing is that you're looking at you can see St. Paul's Island. And St. Paul's Island's been described as the graveyard of the Atlantic, right? St. Paul's, and also, Sable Island is described as too. But St. Paul's is a lot smaller than Sable, but there's wreckage all over it. I'm organizing a dive, as you know, Mr. Club Dive Coordinator. I'm setting a dive up to do St. Paul's this summer.
Already in the books.
Yeah, you're going.
What kind of visibility did you have here?
That day, because of the current and everything else, there was a lot of sediment in the water, but it was so sunny in that it sort of canceled it out. We had about 20, 25 feet of viz. The camera never shows as good a viz as what your eye is seeing, but the camera seems to get the color a little better.
Exactly.
So it's 6 1/2 dozen. You can see just how hard this kelp is being tossed around. It was a very warm day. The whole week that these people from Ottawa were down, we had lots of warm weather. These people could not believe how great the diving is. And a couple of them are RCMP members and their wives and some professional people from Ottawa. They're in a club called the Ottawa Beavers. And they dive, they dive all over the world. They get to go down south and all this and that. And they came to Cape Breton for a whole week just to scuba dive. That was the whole reason they came here.
There's world-class scuba diving, and I'll always keep on
people start talking this eco-tourism stuff. Just since '92, since we opened the shop, we've put lots of what they call heads in the beds in the hotels and that sort of thing around here. And people that are coming here now that the service is available, we're getting more and more dive masters. Hopefully you'll have your instructors by this summer. You will have your instructors by this summer, I bet. And a lot of workers. I wasn't even wearing my hood. That's how warm it was.
You'll do anything to get on TV.
Yeah, what the heck. I'm so shy. Normally, I'm such a shy guy. But they came here, and the whole reason was to scuba dive. We rode off Scattery Island, did a few dives there, and on the way back, some seals were playing around one of the rocks. I had to make 3 passes by the rock and the boat. The people went crazy. They loved it. So we definitely had our fun that week.
Yeah, I went out on the
Yeah, you came out. Which you rode in?
We were on the Lewisburg.
At Lewisburg, yeah, you and Colleen, actually. But we had a big barbecue back at my place later on the new deck you built there from my father. And they cooked up some of the best steaks I ever had in my life, I'll tell you.
The scenery is beautiful down here.
Oh, this wreck, and it's so shallow that your dive tables, you can stay forever. Now, you can see how fast I'm going there, folks? That's when the current is hitting you in the butt, you kick your feet. When it's hitting you in the nose, you hang on so that you don't fall backwards.
Yeah, that's a strong surge.
Yeah, that's a very, very strong surge. But when you're moving with it, boy, you're really covering a lot of area. And it's a little jumpy, like I say. I was trying to get in and get some tight shots. The metal, it looks like if you took tinfoil, it's like those ships to Mother Nature are like tinfoil to us. And you can see they're just literally torn. I mean, that's half-inch thick steel plate. And you can see it's just shredded as if it was nothing.
A lot of force behind it.
Oh, it's incredible. It's just incredible. Yeah. I found out something neat about the wrecks, too. If your seams in your metal plates are welded, probably the ship was post-1930s, started using welding a lot more. If it's riveted, chances are it was before the 30s or the 40s. Around there, they started to weld
something about that somewhere before, too.
I was speaking with an engineer.
I'm not quite sure what the time period.
I was speaking with Dennis over at Northside Marine, and he was telling me that. That's at least it'll give you a ballpark on when these ships went down. And this one here had a lot of rivets in it, so I'm assuming it was 70, 80 years old anyway.
Right. They the fellow who was doing the charter work.
Eddie does, does he? Yeah, I never got the name off of him, but I wonder if I read it in my log. I'll have to check. It's funny, that stuff doesn't, I never think about the name of the ship. I just want to get in and see all the stuff. Some people are real history buffs. We had a couple guys down from Ontario. They go behind the Cambridge Suites, that little barge that's there? Supposedly that was one of the first metal ships in the world to carry armament. It started life as a small, I guess it'd be something like a little patrol boat with a little gun mounted on the deck. It was one of the first Canadian ships, rather, metal ships to carry weapons. Yeah, and I didn't know these guys. This whole class of ship, it ended life as a coal barge. But that whole class of ship, this guy did all kinds of work on it. He came here for 2 days. He called me in January. He came here something like in May, and they were all excited, and they dove in what most people think it was a mud hole, really, in Sydney Harbor. And but they were all excited. They took pictures and measurements and this and that. They were really into the history of it. Yeah, that whole coast there, like Green Cove, as the crow flies, Green Cove and Neils Harbor are not far away from Money Point. And there's an awful lot of beautiful sea life there. Oh, that was neat. What was that, little diamond fade there or something like that? Oh, yeah. Water fade. Ooh, how high-tech can you get?
That's right.
But anyway, beautiful dive. The people from Ottawa absolutely loved it. And
I can see why.
That was my 3rd time I dove that spot.
That whole coastline up along the Cape Breton Highlands is fantastic for diving, almost any spot.
We'll get out next summer with the inflatable and get out around past Meat Cove. Oh, the water's so clear. That's Tracy Henderson will tell you we did a dive up there once. Just spectacular. Great. Anyway, we've got to move along here. Doug's giving me the hurry up sign.
Okay, and you're going to talk to us about bailouts.
We're back in the pool. Marky did the camera work, did some bailouts, which is a leadership level skill. Where you basically jump in the water with all your gear. Anyway, we'll roll the footage.
You'll see what it is.
You guys will see what it is, and we'll come back and tell you about next week's show.
Hi, back to instructor tips. The stuff we're showing on most instructor tips either relates to snorkeling and diving. However, it's all been at a very basic level. Alright, stuff that a brand new diver has to learn. Stuff that a brand new diver is going to learn and be able to do run-of-the-mill average, which is a lot of fun diving. However, a lot of things that divers ask is, say, what about an advanced dive leadership, this is one of the skills you're going to have to master. I'm not too bad at it. You've got 5 minutes to do it. I do practice it quite a bit, as do the other staff at Scuba Tech, so that we can stay sharp with those skills, all right? If you're going to teach it, you better know what being good with. First thing is, your scuba tank has to be shut off. No air in the lines, all right? Your equipment can be assembled, but you're not allowed to be wearing any of it. I'm not wearing my weight belt. I'm not wearing my fins. I'm not wearing my tank. Your suit goes everywhere. You don't have to wear that naked, all right? And all you do basically is you jump in the water. You should be weighted properly so that you'll go to the bottom at a proper rate of speed and then put your equipment on. Once all the equipment's on properly, under control, you then come to the surface and you have to tread water for 5 minutes. So if you cheat, give yourself too much lead, you're not going to get away with it. All right? Anyway, this is something like, well, not something like this, exactly like it should look if you know how to do a proper bailout.
Oh, there we go. The bottom of the cement pond. Okay, first thing when you're doing a bailout, turn on your air.
Makes it a little easier to breathe.
The first time I went to do this on my dive master course, my buddies and I that were on the course didn't practice it because we were too cool. We all had hundreds of hours of diving. Didn't practice. Get in the water, just turned upside down and backwards. Couldn't get anything on. Gagging on water. Chest Chop was my instructor, and he just shook his head and kicked us all out of the pool. And we practiced and practiced and practiced with that later.
The next thing you want to do is get your mask on and get it clear so you can see
Then you can
what
see
you're
where
doing.
you're going. If you'll notice there, potential dive leaders out there, anybody that's thinking of getting into it, you see I'm in the control position. I have one knee planted and my one foot planted in front of me. I'm not flopping and flying all over the place. This is a leadership level skill. Yes, people that are basic and advanced and master divers practice these skills sometimes. You don't normally see it done. The standard is a lot higher. It has to be done in a certain time, 5-minute time limit. It has to be done with ease and under control. All right? Now you can see there, I know my gear. I know those fins are going to sit there for me. Right? I've got all my equipment extended. Give Marky a little wave on the camera there. Wave for the camera.
Just hold custody behind the camera.
The Markster.
I'm the one that makes him look good.
Yeah, sweetheart. My mother had nothing to do with it, eh? Yeah. There we go. The old over-the-head bit. And again, when you have all of your equipment on, it has to be perfectly in place. When you come to the surface and signal your instructor that when you finish this particular drill, when you come up, it all has to be perfectly in place. There's none of this one strap hooked in the wrong spot sort of thing. You have to fix these things as you're going. You can see a lot of it. A lot of it is
knowing your equipment inside out. You don't want to try doing this with brand new gear that you just bought a week ago.
No,
that's the last thing you want to do.
I was aquatic director on an instructor course in Halifax, and one of the candidates showed up to do this particular skill, and he was wearing a new wetsuit that he'd never had on in the pool before, so he didn't know how much lead to use. He used a full weight belt. When he went in, he went to the bottom. He almost went through the bottom. It's not the place to... When you're doing these things, you're trying to demonstrate your skill level to prove that you have the abilities to go on.
Exactly, and a lot of the skills is knowing the equipment.
And I mean, as you can see here, what's this whole segment only runs, the actual in-water part of this segment only runs about 2.5, 3 minutes. I remember timing myself.
Yeah, I was in around the 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm allowed 5.
Yep.
3:40, that's how long it took me from the time I hit the water until I had all my gear fully on, in place, and checked out. Now, at the end of it, I had to come to the surface and tread water for 5 minutes, I believe. It's 5 minutes with no air in my BC and without using my snorkel. So if you cheat and say, oh, well, I'll just use a ton of lead, that'll hold you on the bottom? Sure it will. But you're going to have to do the tread water for 5 minutes, and if you overweight yourself, you're not going to be able to do it. I had myself neutrally buoyant with that little wetsuit shorty on, and that particular configuration of gear. The amount of lead I had on was just right to make me neutral, which means I could extend
the buoyancy level that you want to achieve is neutral buoyancy anyways, irregardless of what you're doing in the water.
And then the ascent has to be done perfectly. Again, this is leadership level, look up, reach up, come up. How long should it take you to get to the top from 8 feet?
Well, if you're going at the rate of,
Okay, at this point, we're going to have to tread water for 5 minutes. This is 5 minutes. I'll check my standard manual. As you can see, for the underwater tape, I think I took, what, 3 minutes for that? Something like that? And, it's not an easy skill. There's not a lot of things. You're doing a lot of skills, actually. You're putting on your mask of clarity, you're doing wreck recovery, you're donning your weight belt, donning your scuba unit, donning your fins. You have all these things on the bottom while maintaining control and under a 5-minute maximum time limit. But these are the type of things you have to practice at in order to have the privilege of being able to take people out into an underwater environment and teach them how, which is the thing we love to do. That's it for instructor tips.
Quickly, 8 feet up,
8 feet up, about 16 seconds.
16 seconds, right.
It's a very slow climb.
1 foot.
Anyways, we are a little short on time on this segment, so we'd like to just let you know what we're going to do next week.
What are we going to do next week, Mark?
We're going to go and dive the garden, one of the prettiest dive spots
Englishtown area,
in the Englishtown area.
and we'll tell you all about it next week. But for now, I'm Ken Jardine from Scuba Tech.
And Mark Boutot from Nervous Wreck Dive Club.
Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next week on the Cape Breton Diver.